bog, bog down in the valley, oh, rattling bog, bog down in the valley.
Bernie Larkin lived in Ardjani as a child and went to Coxtown Bog. He now lives in Banaslow but still can remember the days in the bog.
My name is Bernie Larkin. I'm 72 years old and I was reared quite close to Kiltormer. I went to school in the old school in Kiltormer, and I tried to describe a day in the bog in the late 40s or early 1950s. You'd leave home in the morning about 8:30. Pony cart or donkey cart, whichever was available. You brought your lunchbox with you. The lunch was basic enough. It was a big homemade cake with half a dozen eggs, and a big black kettle for boiling the water for making tea. And you arrived in the bog and started work somewhere around 9 o'clock if it was a fine morning. You put your food into what we used to call the cold room, which was simply a hole dug in the high bank. It would be nice and cold, it would keep milk fresh for a long time. And we'd start if we had the bank clean. The cleaning of the bank was the biggest job. It would take you a couple of days, 2 or 3 fellas to clean the bank. 3 or 4 feet of cleaning had to come down off the top and be tipped into the bog hole to make the low bank for the donkey or the pony to work on. But that took 2 or 3 or maybe 4 days. And then the slaying was taken out and you started to cut turf, and the wheel, what they used to call the wheel, was the distance which the turf had to be drawn out onto the bank. That could be anything up to 300 yards if the bank was bad. You had to go out till you found a good spot to tip the turf. We used to spend, I suppose, about 8-10 days in the bog in the month of May. Maybe sometimes, if the weather was bad, you'd run into early June. And as each day's work was completed, the wheel got a bit shorter, so it wind up, instead of using a pony and cart or a donkey, you used a hand barrow. You might have only 20 yards to go with the last few loads. But the day from 9 o'clock until about 12:30, at that stage somebody had to light a little fire in order to boil the kettle. Usually the youngest fellow in the bog got that job, and he became an expert at lighting bog fires. The menu every day was the same while you were in the bog, simply big cake of brown bread and a couple of eggs. If any egg got broken, I remember once when eggs got broken and we cleaned off the shovel and put a bit of butter on the shovel and held it over the fire and fried our eggs on the shovel. And nice and tasty they were too. I don't know what it'd be worth now, about 90 cents I think, or something like that. Well, we were glad to get it. The amount of fuel that had to be saved to keep an open fire going in a big 2-storey house for 12 months was about 1 horse creel of turf per week, about 50 big creels of turf. You can imagine the amount of time it took to bring that home, make a clamper, or if you were lucky enough to have a turf shed, to put it into it. Most places didn't have a turf shed in those days. The other thing that I remember about the bog is that the work was hard, very hard, but after about 4 or 5 days you got used to it, and it became kind of a bit of fun in the wind up, especially as you got near to the finish and you got down below the low bank when you had to throw the turf up instead of throwing it down. And then the water would be a big bogey at the bottom. Sometimes the water would come in and flood the spit of turf, and then you had to abandon ship. God forgive us, we often prayed for water to come into it. But the spreading and the footing of the turf and the drawing it home all took, I wouldn't like to put a time frame on it, but it took the most part of July and August, and you'd be going well if you had the turf home at the end of August. 15th of August was a kind of a deadline that time. The guy that had the turf home the 15th of August was going well.